Hey, it's Jared. I hope all's well. I wanted to talk to you today about a personal inventory list. Now, this is something that I have kind of done in the form of journaling over the years, and I found it to be really important as I've gotten older and have more areas and different facets of my life that I really am just trying to keep all under control. I don't know if you are anything like me, but if you have a job, a family, and anything else going on, it's a lot to juggle, and at times you are just getting by. And I definitely have felt at times like I am just getting by. And in some of these areas, I might not be giving them the appropriate attention. If you just keep going down that road of trying to figure these things out as they come up, you don't really have a plan in place, and you're just trying to keep everything afloat. And that could be very challenging. I know for me, it has been very challenging, and often I end up feeling stuck after a while because I've been trying to keep all of these different plates spinning without really taking the time to look at each of these different areas of my life and how they are going. These are areas from self-care and health, just overall health, personal growth, marriage and family, career and work life, money and finances, personal relationships, home, and hobby. These are the different areas that I've identified make up the majority of my life. Of course, there's maybe some little things that might fit into different places, but for the most part, if I had a really good understanding of where I am at in all of these areas of my life, and I had a plan in place for optimizing and just making those areas better, I would be in a great place. And when I am doing those things, I am in a great place. I'm moving forward. I feel like I have control over my life. When I am not on top of those things, I feel like I have a lack of control. And so I decided that I needed to have some sort of a template in place to where I could go to this personal inventory and look at these different areas and get a reminder of the things that are important to me. Also check in and see where I'm at. So this is the kind of thing that I'm going to be updating from time to time. And also put some projections out there on where I want things to be moving forward. So I'm going to walk you through my personal inventory that I've built in Notion, and I'm going to make this template available for you for free. So make sure to check out the link in the description below. So you can see the first thing I have is a table where I have those categories, so those areas of my life that I mentioned earlier, and an overall rating of how I feel I am doing in those areas. So as I feel like I'm doing better or worse, I could remove a star, I can add a star. Basically, this is a 1 to 5 star rating, and I will update these periodically as I jump in. Now, personally, I'm going to set a reminder so that every 30 days, so basically the beginning of every single month, I'm going to come in here and update this. That gives me an opportunity to revisit some of the things that I wanted to be working on, making sure that I'm staying on task and working towards the things that I find important. It's very easy to get sidetracked. If you're anything like me, you end up going down rabbit holes, chasing some new idea or some thought or something that popped up, and it gets you off of the path that you wanted to be on. And so I've got these ratings here that I will update from time to time. Now, first I've got the section, what am I looking forward to right now? I think this is important because we have things that are coming up, and well, we need to have things that are coming up that we're looking forward to. And if we don't have something that we're looking forward to, then all we're looking at are the things that might be frustrating or dragging us down. So we need to have things kind of in the forefront that we are looking forward to. And so I have a summer road trip later on this year with my family that I'm planned, and it's going to be about a month long, and I'm super excited to be on the road and to be staying in different places and exploring. And so I'm really excited about that. And if I twirl down, I can add additional information about that, maybe some aspects of this particular trip that I am really excited about, like exploring South Dakota. We're going to go there. We were going to go into Yellowstone, but it may not be fully open by the time that we get through that area of our trip. So I may need to make some changes there to the things that I am looking forward to as far as this road trip. But list out everything that you're looking forward to in the coming months, and you can update this. This is something that's going to be updated, and so as we get past this trip, after this trip is over, obviously this wouldn't be an item that's on here anymore. I would move forward to whatever is the next thing that I'm looking forward to. Now, what is dragging me down right now? This is an area that I think is super important because we have little things that come up that drag us down, that kind of get us stuck, whether we get stuck for a few minutes or we get stuck for a day or even a week, and we find ourselves in this rut. I think it's super important to identify the areas of our lives that are dragging us down. And so for me, I played the stock market a lot this year and some last year, but really a lot this year. I almost could be considered a full-time day trader at one point. And I had some massive wins earlier on this year, and I also had some losses. And while I'm not negative, I had losses that were substantial enough that they really affected me. And it showed me some gaps that I had in the mindset that you have to be a successful day trader. And so I had some losses in the stock market, and I put a note here that I had some huge wins but gave a lot of it back. That has been hard on me, and I'm not sure I'm over it yet. And that's something for me to check back in on as I continue doing some day trading, or maybe I decide that being a day trader is not something for me. Maybe I don't have that ability to just take those wins and those losses and chalk them up as not something too emotional, something I shouldn't get too emotional over. It's very challenging. But list everything that causes frustration. This could be everything from things with work to things in your personal life, things in family life. All of these things that cause frustration should be listed here. And depending on how personal you get with that, you may want to password protect this page just to keep it safe and secure, because I believe that you need to be as open and honest with yourself as you can, and the things that are dragging you down need to be addressed. Otherwise, they're things that are going to get pushed off, and those take mental capacity. I use the term mental bandwidth a lot. We only have a certain amount of mental bandwidth that we have to attack the day. And when we start the day with things that are bothering us, that is taking away from that bandwidth. Think of it like an internet connection. The older days of internet connections, when a lot of people were online at once, it would slow down the network for everybody else. And that is just like how your brain works when it comes to things that are dragging you down. So self-care and health is another one. I have listed my current state of health and where I want my health to be. And underneath these is areas like my current state of health. I feel I am about 35 pounds overweight right now. I'm not eating unhealthy, but I'm not eating as clean as I should be. And I'm also not being as physically active as I should be as well. That seems to ebb and flow for me throughout the year, and I need to be more consistent with that. So where do I want to be? I want to weigh around 210 pounds and feel fit, and I want to be active for at least 30 minutes a day. And I only want to consume alcohol if there's a reason to celebrate, not just because it's the weekend or something like that. And I don't drink a whole lot of alcohol, but I drink more often than I want to be drinking. Another area is personal growth. What are the current ways that I am investing in myself right now? You know, we think of personal growth and we're like, well, I listened to an audiobook, or I listened to that podcast, or I went to that seminar like 6 months ago. Personal growth is an ongoing thing. We need to be investing in ourselves continuously. And it's very easy to think like, oh yeah, well I did that thing and that was great, but what are we doing continuously? And if we did invest in ourselves in a certain way, are we making sure that that is long lasting? Or was it just a one-time thing and we kind of fell off the bus and we're not paying attention to those new tools that we figured out that we wanted to implement into our lives? This is an area where you can elaborate on that. And as you see, I have some toggles here, and if I twirl those down, there's more information underneath. These are just how I'm using it. You can add as many of these as you want. They don't have to be toggles. They could be a bullet point list. However you want to organize this is fine. I believe that just under these areas, we need to be listing some of the things and discussing some of the things that fit into that category, checking in with where we're at right now, and acknowledging where we're at right now, but then also looking at where we want to be. What is the improvement that we want to see in these areas most specifically? So in a lot of my areas, it's areas that need attention. What are areas that need attention in these specific categories? So marriage and family. Next category, my relationship with my wife and my relationship with my kids. Under these toggles, I'm describing the time that I spend with my wife, what I need to be doing more of or less of, and same with my kids. How much one-on-one time am I spending with them, and how am I investing in those relationships with my children and making sure that they have my attention whenever they need it. And so I describe those under these toggles. And then career and work life. Career and work life seems to be one of the biggest areas for me that can drag me down or get me stuck in a rut. So I choose to categorize that into these three areas right now, which is what brings me joy. In my work, I have a lot of ability to try and do different things, whether it be making a video like this, doing work for a client, or my other YouTube channels. There's a lot that I could be focusing on, but what within that brings me actual joy, and where do I just feel like I'm just doing work for the sake of doing work? What brings me frustration? There's definitely areas in all of those things that bring me frustration, but identifying those things makes sure that I don't continue doing things that will cause me frustration. And then what could I change? When I understand what brings me joy with my work and what brings me frustration, I can identify more easily what are the things that I could change. Now with money and finances, this could be as deep as you need it to be. I wanted to answer the question, am I living within my means? Because I feel like I could easily not if I'm not paying attention. Now, we don't spend a whole lot of frivolous money. We do buy things from time to time. We eat out from time to time. But our overall living expenses, cost of living, subscriptions, and different things that we have is not over the top. We keep things relatively affordable for ourselves, and sometimes spend on some things that are important to us. So I identify those things under this toggle. And then also, I want to make sure that I have a security fund. If anything was to happen, the world was to come to an end for 6 months or something like that, could I survive? Could I survive paying the bills, feeding my family, all of those things? If the worst happened, how far can we make it? And so I kind of describe that in there, like based on our savings, how long could we go without having to dip into investments or things that would end up causing tax issues if I pulled those things out. The next is personal relationships, which for a guy is very challenging. The older that I get, the more I realize that personal relationships are important and also extremely difficult. Trying to cultivate friendships and just, have other people to talk to that might be other dads, other guys who are in business for themselves, who kind of have the same struggles and the same, areas of life as me. It's very hard to find that, and it's even harder to cultivate those relationships. And so I kind of describe in there where I feel like I'm at with that. Not necessarily on a per person basis, which maybe I do go in there and add in a section where this specific person's name and what am I doing to make sure that I'm being a good friend and cultivating that friendship. It's challenging, and I feel like it takes a lot of effort, and a lot of times it is one-sided effort, but it's worth it. And so I have that section there. Home and hobby is another one. home organization. How do I feel like my home organization and structure is, with not only just how cluttered or how, busy our household gets, but just the overall vibe, and are we spending time communicating within the household? Some of this kind of goes in with family life and stuff like that as well, but in the home, there's definitely a lot going on as far as organization goes. Household projects, are there things that I should be that I'm focusing on or thinking about? And then for hobby, really wood and metal work is a hobby that I've had for a little while now. Definitely haven't spent as much time on it as I would like, but it is a section. Down towards the bottom, things that I want to start doing and things that I want to stop doing. These I borrowed from my year in preview, which I did a template for a few years ago, where I was kind of mapping out everything that I wanted to look forward to in that year. Things that I want to start and things that I want to stop are ideas and thoughts from those other categories, where I can distill this down into actionable things that I can start because I feel like they'd bring value, and I could stop because I feel like they're preventing me from the value that I want to have in those areas. And so there's 2 sections for that. And then an other thoughts section where I can put different things that I'm thinking about that kind of fit into this whole exercise with this personal inventory that I am doing. And then there's a section that I also brought in challenges and achievements, which I brought in from that previous template that I just talked about. These are kind of bucket list items and things that I might be able to achieve, and I just left 2 of them in there, land a kickflip and write a book. Those are things that I'm probably not going to work on in the next couple of months, but it could be an area where there are things that you want to achieve within the next month or 2, or a challenge that you have for yourself, such as learn to ride a skateboard or learn photography or something like that. So the idea behind this personal inventory is that you would utilize it to remain aware of where you're at in life, in the different areas of life, because, as I said at the beginning, lots of plate spinning all the time and things that might not get attention until there's a fire or things start to smoke, and you definitely don't want to let things get that far. So for me, this personal inventory is something that I'm going to be checking in on monthly, and if I need to, maybe even more than monthly, maybe twice a month, so that I can come in here and look at these and say, okay, how am I doing self-care wise? Personal growth. This is where I felt like I was at 2 weeks ago or 30 days ago. Do I feel like I've improved, or do I need to reassess where I'm at? And I think these areas, if I'm being mindful of them and I'm checking in on them as often as I feel necessary, then I'm moving forward. I'm making sure that I am improving in the areas that I find to be most important in my life. And I think that that's something that we all want to see and achieve as often as possible. So get this template for free. Go to the link down in the description below and you can get that template. Apply it to Notion if you don't have Notion or don't know what Notion necessarily is. I have a course on Notion. I also have several videos on Notion as well that can help you get started. It is the tool that I use to keep myself organized and to have a one place to go for all sorts of information like this, so that I have it with me all the time. I'm on my iPad, I'm looking at it, I can access it on my computer, I can access it on my phone. It's cross-platform and great to have this information with me at all times so that I can revisit it when needed. So that's going to do it for this video. If you found it super useful, let me know in the comment section below, and also by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel here so you can get updates when I put out new content. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for being here and watching all the way through. I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.